Some of my first ever videos that I made on my channel is a public solo investigation involving an old content creator named the Embodiment of Karma, and how he tried to cover up the fact that he engaged in ERP or erotic roleplay with somebody named Max who he knew was a minor, their age at the time being 14 years old, whilst Karma was 18. This entire investigation is something that was pretty much just chain after chain of different twists and turns. And all the old videos on my channel that exist covering the subject were all pretty much just live updates on the situation as they happened day by day. All these videos were ones I did in a one take with no scripting, and all I was doing was just showing screenshots in my Google Drive recorded on OBS, which means that everything was very hard to read. They're all they're all extremely long, some of them going over 40 minutes in length, and often has me going on tangents because again, it was completely unscripted and it's not exactly on par with the overall quote unquote quality of my more modern investigations, if you can even call it that. And especially considering the very serious allegations I levy against Karma in the video, especially compared to my last two investigations I did. I felt like now was the time to make a new video going over the entire situation again from beginning to end. But this time with a script that I'm reading off of right now that probably goes over all of the events without me getting sidetracked. I will also be organizing all evidence involved in this case into a Google Drive folder that I will make public for everybody to see, that I will link in the description. So everybody who wants to learn more and see the evidence for themselves can go and view it. Because in all honesty, I probably won't be able to go over every single little detail of everything that um, happened involving karma, but I will be going over the necessities that prove his guilt. With that being said, let's get started. This all began all the way back in late January of 2025, where Karma reached out to me directly to ask me for my aid with an ongoing situation that he was having a hard time with. I was then added to a Discord group with Karma and his girlfriend at the time, I think, whose name was Belle, who then decided to try and inform me on what was going on. Karma told me that a kid named Max was falsely accusing him of being a pedophile, citing a conversation they had all the way back in 2023. However, Karma argued that the conversation showed was Karma being an unwilling participant in this erotic roleplay, as Max was pretty much just relentlessly pursuing it for a literal hours. Now, looking at at the screenshots that Karma provided, which will also be in the Google folder below, I was extremely skeptical of Karma's claim since I find it very strange that Karma would just allow somebody who he knew was a minor to do this without just like outright blocking them or just at the very least just not saying anything and simply allowing them to do this shit continuously for literal hours on end. And after going to reach out to Max themselves so I could hear their side of the entire situation, aka during my due diligence when you're trying to investigate situations like these, they pointed out something to me about the screenshots that changed my entire perception of this entire ordeal. In every single screenshot that Kama provided me between himself and Max, it showed that every single one of his messages were edited. Literally almost every single one. Or in the case of some of the later messages that took place in a later time frame, they were just seemingly deleted altogether. As if you looked at the screenshots now, you would just see Max talking and responding to nothing with like several times in between the messages, which is, an often huge sign that someone had went back and deleted their previous messages. So I decided to take this evidence that was pointed out to me by Max, and I used it to confront Karma. And at first, he tried to say how it was just a case of him making a ton of typos and went back to fix them. Which, whilst it would usually be a fair explanation, I also make typos sometimes when I type, and I like to go back and edit them. It's important that I reiterate, like once again, that literally pretty much every single fucking message that Karma sent to Max during the ERP was either edited or deleted. And also the messages he had with Max afterward were completely fine. So it's kind of hard to just excuse this as you making typos when you do it over and 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 over again. Like I just don't believe that at all. So eventually, when I was talking to Kalma about this, who was not exactly thrilled that I was pushing so hard against this, Max showed me two images of the ERP that he had with Karma before Karma got to go back and edit it all. And watch the profile picture and the names of them both are different. We know that these are the exact same people as if you look at Max's messages and even Karma's messages that are edited, they all take place at the exact same time, and Max's messages, whom are unedited, are the exact same. So for this to be faked, there would have had to be four people all in cahoots doing this at the exact same time, which is just unrealistic. So these messages are real. Upon showing this evidence to Karma and confronting him once again, he tried to use a flimsy excuse and just called it fake news. However, I pushed past his pretty shitty argument here, and pretty much his entire defense just collapsed right then and there. So instead of defending himself, he just tried to shift the goalpost multiple times. The first thing he did is try and say how it's Max's fault for starting the entire situation. Despite Karma being 18 and Max being 14, 18 at the time, meaning Karma was a responsible adult and Max was a kid who can't consent, so she should have easily just stopped it from ever happening in the first place. He then admits to lying to me about the DMs, and then tried to tell me that he bettered himself since then, completely ignoring the fact that the only reason I'm sat in a group chat with him right now was for him to try and convince me that Max was falsely accusing him of the very same crimes he had just admitted to doing. It was here I decided to just end the conversation and leave the group chat, as it was clear to me that at this point I wasn't going to get anywhere with him. He was a disgusting piece of shit. He was a self-admitted child a predator, and the fact that he tried to get me to defend him and go after his victim is something that, it really got me thinking a lot. Like, I genuinely felt like, I don't want to say sick because that sounds super cliche, but I genuinely despise Karma when this first happen. In fact, I still do. For the fact he not only did one of the most indefensible crimes ever, but he then tried to twist it and weaponize it and try to lie to me about it. Like, it is absolutely fucking gross. This is when I began to make my first video on the matter and began publicly defending Max by bringing everything I had just mentioned about Karma to light. The first video that I made covers the entire conversation between me and Karma in the VC, as well as the conversation between Karma and Max, the entire ERP. Albeit again, the video I made was bad. You could barely read any of the screenshots that I provided. It was a fucking mess. And after this, I decided to do a Discord interview with Max herself, where she answers some questions I have about the case, as well as a separate interview that took place right after the fact, where she talks about Belle, which was Karma's girlfriend at the time, who previously defended Karma's actions and even took part in harassing Max when all of this first broke out. In response to all of this, Karma actually made a live stream where he sent out what he called a warning to his viewers. Now, I won't go over every little thing he said in the live stream, but all you need to know is that he provided no evidence to defend himself and pretty much just encouraged his viewers to not engage in my side of the conversation at all, which is always pretty telling in a situation like this when someone's only response to somebody outing them is to just say to just like plug your ears and ignore it. It's always not a good always not a good sign. But if you want to hear what he said in this live stream, I made a re-upload of his live stream that you can find on my channel, since because his old channel was deleted, you can no longer find the original live stream, but it's still up on my channel if you want to go and give it a watch. So after this, a few things happened that looked like bigger deals back then, but were kind of small in the grand scheme of things as I look back and think about it. I spoke to Belle privately in DM shortly after the first live stream, where she apologized to me and cut off Karma, which then led to Karma making a second live stream that you can also find a re-upload of on my channel. The second one is pretty much the same as the first one, but he also plays a song on the world's smallest violin on how upset he is that Bella cut him off. It's not really in like anything that's really worth going over in this video. So if you really want to know, then you're welcome to go and watch it yourself. One of his friends, who I would simply call Liz, then reached out to me to try and talk to me about this a situation herself in a defense of Karma. And her defense of Karma, quote unquote, only made things look worse for him. I will go over the conversation here in the video, but before I do, I want to explain the reason why I didn't talk about this conversation like in detail in any of my initial videos. And that is because throughout the entire conversation between me and her, as well as one that she had with a mutual friend of ours who wishes to remain anonymous in the context of the video, she kept on insisting that she be talked about and showed in a video of mine, which to me just came off as a way to try and like garner attention. But alas, seeing as she is the only person who was willing to reach out to me in defense of Karma, because clearly Karma wasn't going to do it himself, otherwise he would have done it in his two fucking live streams that he did. I decided that here in this video, I would simply blur out her name and even her profile picture so she wouldn't get any direct attention in resort of being featured in this video. throughout the entire conversation she has with me, she never really takes an effort to try and understand the situation or see my side in it at all, and just simply tries to blame me for causing distress amongst her friend group, including Karma, and then just tries to push me to delete my videos about it. She even tried to threaten me with more harassment, aka two or something comments that she and or her friends would just leave on my videos, just calling me mean names that I would just ignore. Just a really stupid thing to say when you're trying to come into a conversation and you know defend somebody of something. Just thought I throw that in there real quick. She then tries to claim that I haven't shown any proof, despite making multiple videos at the time that showcase proof. And then she says she simply just didn't watch it and immediately disregarded the video because apparently if you just choose to not see it, then it just does not exist. I don't get it either. She then took a brief time to try and excuse the mass editing and deletion of his erotic roleplay with Max the same way Kalma did. She once again fails and then resorts to her final tactic of lashing out in the corner and simply says it's Max's fault. Despite Max once again being 14 and Karma being 18 when all of this took place. It was around here I realized that there would be no use in continuing the conversation, so I ended the conversation here. Me reading through this right now, this was pretty much an exact copy and paste repeated formula of my conversation with Karma. I show them the evidence after them not wanting to see it. They try and make a shitty excuse. They fail, and then they try and push blame onto Max, and then they lash out and get angry, and then I just leave because I don't want to waste my fucking time. These are the people who are friends with Karma and try and defend them. By the way, as I sat here writing the ending of of the script and thinking about Liz's conversation with me and just Karma as the whole, it gave me an idea to have a general discussion about how people often react to me making these quote unquote expose of videos. Since I am an extremely small creator, I'm under 3 digit subscribers at the time of me making this video, and have been ever since I started. The people who often stumble across these types of videos, or at least the more vocal people who do it, are people who are often friends of the people I make videos on. In terms of karma, which is by far the most serious topic I have covered in my very few videos on my channel, that means I have had to deal with some very aggressive comments from his friend circle who have come to mindlessly defend him like very good online white knights in shiny armor, completed with the shield, may I add, without ever even watching the video. And whilst I can handle a bunch of, mean names being tossed my way, like that's just a side effect of being on the internet. I was fairly appalled by the amount of people, many being 18 years or older, who mindlessly just stuck by him and didn't even try to understand what was going on, or even in some cases blamed me or Max, who was the victim, for bringing it to light. This entire ordeal has made me think that being friends with Farmer is the equivalent to being a part of a fucking cult. Was just how intolerable everyone is in his circle and bringing up his predatory behavior, and just how eager they are to just stop thinking for themselves and just mindlessly circle jerk each other. old viewers of my channel may remember when a friend of his named the Hornet literally admitted in a Discord call with me and another friend that they were a groomer who was over the age of 20. I believe that they were like 23 or something. Was in an online relationship with another Gacha content creator who was fucking 15 years old at the time. And Karma and his girlfriend Belle fought tooth and fucking nail to try and either defend it or excuse it for multiple months, despite the fact that there was literally a video on my channel where Hornet themselves admitted to everything. These people are the lowest of the low. They are gross and vile and just downright evil in some cases, with again the way he tried to weaponize what he did to Max as a way to further harm them. And I have no pity for Karma at all. Absolutely fucking none. With all of that being said, I have nothing else to really say about this. I probably did include every single niche detail that transpired within this entire situation, but everything I covered is the essentials and the most important part of everything that went down. There was some other stuff that you may see or watch on my video or in the Google folder below that you may take a look at yourself if you want to find out more. The reason I made a video about this topic, however, is not only because I promised a friend of mine over a year ago that I would make a brand new modern summary video about all of this, but also because Karma has since then made a new channel that used to go by the Resurrected Wolf when it was initially created, but now goes by the name Beast Inkfell. I wanted to spread awareness to this user that anyone who comes in contact with his content and channel should just avoid him and just simply report his channel. Now, when I say this, do not go to his channel and just spread a bunch of mindless hate or be an asshole because even though he probably deserves it, that doesn't actually solve anything. If you want to be of help and make a difference, just report his channel and move along. With all that being said, thank you all for watching, and I wish you all a good rest of your day. Goodbye, everybody.